Taken from the Plasmic surfboard, which has influences from a fish with a wide point forward outline and a bonzer style bottoms, the Plasmid is a stretched out version of the Plasmic while still keeping a lot of the DNA of its smaller brother. This particular board that I'm reviewing is 7 feet 8 inches, 22 inches wide, and 2 3/4 inches thick, and I'd estimate it's about a mid 50 liters in volume. This board has a lot of interesting features which you don't see in a lot of modern boards nowadays, including the super long and deep channels, rounded diamond tail, which Matt Parker wanted to bring in as a change from the fishtail to give more surface area to the back foot, helping you really bite into your turns and help balance out the speedy but grippy nature of the deep channels. This is my first varial foam board, and they don't make these anymore, but they're supposedly 40% stronger than PU foam and super light. This board is also laminated in carbon, which makes it a lot stronger and also gives it a little bit more of a pop. A beaky nose in the front and a pretty generous down rail. Chest and midsection feature a 60-40 down rail, and back rail still maintains a good amount of thicker down rail right until the very end, featuring a low entry and low exit rocker. Starting from the tail, it has that 2 double barrel channel concave all the way until like the midsection of the board to a single concave and then flat towards the front and nose. For category, starting with wave entry and glide, I gave it 9.5. This was one of my favorite things for this board, and I found that you could actually get into waves really easy with a lot of glide, even far before they broke. For paddling, I actually thought the Plasmid would paddle super longboard-esque, but definitely need to be really conscious about making sure your arms hit the center of the board through those channels, and as you did, you could feel a huge difference. Once you hit those first few strokes, you hit top speed and it felt like it paddled great. For drive, I did give an 8.75. Since the Plasmid is a high volume, fast cruiser kind of board, to maximize the drive out of this board, the wave does need a little bit of oomph, but when it did, you feel like you could lean into it really slightly and feel the springiness of the board project you back up. For maneuver, I did give a 7. I did have a really tough time turning this board, and I think it's a mix of the wide point forward, the long thick rail line, and also the huge deep channels which break with speed as you're trying to turn, but to maximize maneuver, the wave really needed some push then. For speed and trim, I did give it a 9. While you're in trim down the line, channels do create a ton of lift and speed, and this is one of the areas where I thought the board really shined. For durability, I did give it an 8. There are light pressures with the varial foam and carbon layup. I would say it's not as strong as a Firewire or Thunderbolt, but it is stronger than your traditional PU and polyester resin. Duck diving for me was a no-go on this board. It was half-assed duck dives and a lot of turtle rolling. The Plasmid can go in the 1 foot range. It's like the Seaside and beyond, but slightly better in projecting through the flats in this range. But this board really worked great in the 2 feet and up serve, and the higher in the wave height you go, the more I feel this board benefited in the fatter, slopier surf or high tide surf. Overall fun factor, I would give this board an 8.5. It was fun, fast, cruisy, but also felt super smooth. Standing up, riding in trim, flying down the line, a lot of the riding experience can just be described as smooth. And I think this is actually a great board for someone looking to level up their surfing and smoothen it out. Turning was a little bit difficult with this board, so here's what I'd recommend if you were to custom order it. If I were to recommend a custom for this board, rather than getting the channels that go halfway up the board, I would order it to go a quarter way up the board or make them not as deep. You could also order the board a little bit shorter and maybe with a smidge more rocker. For fins, I first used the Almeric Keel Twins, my favorite keel, but this fin had too much rake with this board. So I changed it to the fins from Machado's quad set, which worked a lot better to loosen up the board and still kept it fast. I also used this fin, which is like the Akila Aipa fin, an upright fin, and this fin kept the board looser, but just not as much drive as the Machado's. I would generally recommend either a more upright mid-sized keel with this board or an upright fin in general. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please like and subscribe to stay tuned for more board reviews, and thank you for watching.